Welcome back for another episode of PhysioShow. Today, we are talking about scapular dyskinesia. Scapular dyskinesia is when the shoulder blade moves a little bit funky and places increased strain through the structures of the shoulder, including the rotator cuff. So despite the pain being over that rotator cuff area, painful with lifting, it's often driven at the shoulder blade. Think of the shoulder blade as the core of your shoulder. Any faults here is going to place increased strain throughout the entire shoulder complex, increasing pain and dysfunction. So today we're going to be focusing on how to enhance scapular control to reduce pain and improve shoulder motion. Shoulder blade moves very dynamically, so we want to replicate that. But we also want to unload it a bit so that we can really focus on quality of movement and not overload it to the point where we're compensating and not really getting much out of the exercise. So to do that, we're going to lay down. First, you're going to take the hand that we're targeting. So I'm going to be targeting my left shoulder blade. I'm going to hold on to the edge of a table or a bed. So this is going to connect my hand to the ground and going to give me a little bit more stability so I can really focus on the control of the shoulder blade. So we want to simulate all of the dynamic movements that the shoulder blade goes through. So the first one I'm going to do is protraction and retraction. So I want to be really focused on driving my elbow forward and then squeezing my shoulder blade back. And I want to be really focused on just the shoulder blade controlling this movement. The arm kind of goes for a ride. We're ignoring that and really just focusing on shoulder blade mobility and isolating that movement and try to minimize any rotation of the thoracic spine. Okay, so it should be really an isolated movement. And we want to do high reps too. So this is a very low load exercise, high repetitions. Usually I recommend 2 to 3 sets of 15 even to 20. Get a lot of repetitions, focus on the quality of movement. Now after protraction, retraction, we can go right into depression and elevation. So our shoulder is going to come up towards your ear and down towards your hip. Up towards your ear, down towards your hip. And just like the other one, really focus on quality and precision of movement and isolating it at that shoulder blade and minimize any contribution from your arm or your body. So again, 2 to 3 sets of 15 to 20 reps, high reps, get a lot of practice. All right, once you've mastered those single plane movements where we're moving in one direction, let's get a little bit more dynamic to simulate really how the shoulder blade works. But don't get too ahead of yourself if you don't have the single plane movements down pat. Once those are mastered, then move on to the dynamic movements because it just gets a little bit more challenging and it's harder to isolate if you don't already have good control. So the first one I'm going to do is a diagonal motion from the back of your hip to the front of your body towards your nose. So we're going to start with the shoulder going up towards our nose into the front of the shoulder and then back and down into our back pocket. Forward and up towards our nose, down and back towards our back pocket. So really, again, continue to focus on control, slow, steady, and go for quality over quantity until you have that quality built up, and then increase your repetitions because you might actually fatigue out and that's where your quality is going to drop. So take your time with this. Next one we're going to do is up and back towards the back of your head and then down and forward towards your stomach. Okay, so the shoulder is going to go up and back towards the back of my head, squeeze, isolate it at the shoulder, and down and forward towards my belly button. Up and back towards your head, down and forward towards your belly button. So once you've mastered the dynamic combined movement patterns, let's get even more advanced, and I like to call this one the hourglass. So to perform, we're going to start towards our nose. Next, we're going to go trace a straight line across towards our spine. Now we're going to go in a diagonal line towards our belly button. Now we're going to go in a straight line again towards our spine. And now we're going to go in a diagonal motion up towards our nose. So we're going to repeat that. Back towards the spine, down towards our belly button, back towards our spine, up towards our nose. And we're going to repeat high reps, slow quality motions. Really try to be as accurate and precise as you can throughout the motion. So once we've completed that one, we're going to do the reverse now. So we're going to start with our shoulder elevated and back towards our head. Now we're going to draw a straight line to the front of our body. So we're in line with our nose now. And now we're going to go a diagonal motion down and back towards the back of my hip, and then straight forward towards the front of my body, and now back diagonally and up towards the back of my head. And then repeating straight forward in the elevated position, diagonal down and back towards the back of my hip, straight forward, and then back up towards the back of my head. And we repeat. So there you have it, a great way to enhance scapular control, to reduce load through that rotator cuff, improve function, and reduce pain. It's a great starting point to really address any scapular movement dysfunction, and then follow that up some really good strengthening of both the shoulder blade and the rotator cuff now that you have better dynamic stability. Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode of Physio Show. If you did, make sure to hit that like button. It really helps support our channel and help it continue to grow. And don't forget to subscribe so you can learn more about your body, how it works, and what it needs to keep moving.